right, team, we have a lot going on. Does anybody have any questions here before we end the call?
Yeah, just wanted to confirm we're prioritizing the client report first, right?
Yes, absolutely. That is a top priority.
Great. I will focus on that today.
Hey, Amber, I'm just checking in. Where are you at with that executive dashboard that I asked for?
Oh, I thought you said the client report was the priority today.
No, I never said that.
But this morning?
No, I said the executive dashboard was urgent. You must have misunderstood.
Oh, okay. I mean, I can switch over.
Yeah, let's get moving on that dashboard, please. And next time, just ask me if you're not sure, okay? Really got to me. Oh my God, that hurt me to do that skit. Can I just say, oh my God. But welcome back to Sanity Pending Podcast, everybody. I'm Holly and this is Amber. And if you couldn't tell from that really painful skit, today we're talking about something that actually it's come up quite a bit, Amber, and subtly in some of our past episodes that we've had so far, but it's gaslighting. And this can feel like a really tough topic because when someone is constantly shifting that narrative to make you question your own understanding of something, it's easy to, for me anyway, it's always easy to think that I'm the problem, right? I'm the reason for this misunderstanding that we have, that I'm not communicating well enough. But I know from experience now that that's not what's happening. So today we're going to be talking about gaslighting at work, what that kind of looks like, how you can recognize it and stay grounded when someone else is trying to rewrite your reality. And I'm just curious, Amber, the skit that we did, it really brought up a lot of bad emotions for me. I'm curious how you felt after that. If you're traumatized at all from that, because
I am not a violent person, even though I bring up lots of violent references and imagery. But I have never wanted ever to slap you until that. And I just wanted to. And I was just I feel like that's what I should have recorded that. It makes me, to your point, it made me go, how do I fix this for the future? So that way this doesn't happen again. And then it makes me this paranoid person walking around recording everything. Yes. So that way I can call it out. Right. And then I'm but then somehow I become the problem and it's perceived, right? But it makes me feel like I'm changing my behavior in order to protect myself. But then it could create this whole other unanticipated set of consequences or actions or change my reputation because people may not trust me because it looks like I don't trust people, which I don't if they're behaving like that. And so
the paranoia is real, Amber. I hadn't really thought about it until you started saying that. And then I know exactly that feeling, especially whenever I was in an office and somebody would stop by the office to have a one-on-one face-to-face convo. It wasn't in writing. It wasn't during a meeting with witnesses and stuff. And I kind of had that paranoia sometimes for certain people where I'm okay, I need to document this immediately and follow up in writing, get it confirmed in writing. That paranoia. Oh my God, it absolutely, I felt that with certain individuals who I had a history of them constantly coming back and trying to rewrite what happened, these situations that we were in or how a project went, trying to tell a different story than what I knew had happened,
Yes, I do. And I have so many experiences, right, where I just was absolutely blindsided by being gaslit. And it wasn't it was effective. I never fell for it. It just...
You're very smart, Amber. Oh my God. So smart.
But what I mean by fell for it is that, we mentioned that I have a good memory and a don't for certain things, but I do have a good memory when it comes to my work.
Yeah.
And And the thought process, like I catalog very clearly, like what someone has said, why they want something, right? I get the context. I ask the questions around like what I need to be able to solidify what that end result would look like. And I even also in those sessions will repeat back what I have heard. So so that way we are walking away with an agreement. And that is learned retaliatory behavior, right? That I have for the gaslighting. I was gonna say
that's great active listening skills. Like, let me read this back. Like, let me just confirm. I love that. So professional.
Right. So that way it is, we are coming to an agreement together, right? Like that, like I am repeating this in a way, right? Because when I say that I didn't fall for it, meaning that my memory of like, oh no, I know that was not what it is.
Right.
Like, and so I'm not going to fall for this, but then it still doesn't, like, I'm not going to then treat it as if you are right. I guess is like, you are not to be believed in this moment. And so then my tactic is just to be angry. Like, like, you just set me up. Yeah. So much anger. But it just feels like I walked away like I got set up for failure. Somebody is trying to trick me. So I'm actually curious. Like when somebody is gaslighting in that way, right? Like in the example of our skit. Am I alone in that? Like, meaning that, do most people fall for it? Like, do most people kind of like bow to go, oh, did I misremember? And then believe what the person is telling you? Or is it more along the lines of we know and can see that somebody is gaslighting us, and what do we do with it?
Yeah.
Right?
Like, that's a good point. And I think like the context really matters, because like I have been where like I'm in a new job, oh my God, when I was young and I got like, I was in a new job. I remember when like, I was being gaslit one time after a meeting, and they said like, no, it was really this. And I can't remember like all the details specifically, but I remember somebody contradicted something that I said later following a meeting, and said, like, you misunderstood. And I thought they were right. I thought, well, maybe I did misunderstand. I'm new here. I don't know, some of the norms in the office here. So maybe I did misunderstand. Maybe you said something and I thought, I interpreted it in a way that wasn't relevant to the setting that I'm in. Do you know what I mean? But I think you're right in terms of like not falling for things. Like, and I'm saying that carefully because like one thing that I have noticed, at least in my experience, is that a lot of high performers sometimes get targeted here. And I think it has to do with competition. People who feel threatened by someone who is intelligent like yourself, Amber, and, they're trying to pull the wool over your eyes and get away with something, take credit for something, whatever it might be. And I think sometimes companies see that as, hey, this is competition, like this is good for us in some way. And so they sort of like turn a blind eye to it because they're like, hey, that drives results for us. Like we're going to get something out of this, right? It's sick. Like, it drives this burnout that we all have, because now suddenly we need to work 10 times harder to outrun somebody else or whatever. And I guess like me, like whenever I say like I didn't fall for it, I was like, I'm not going to compete with you. Like you're like, I'm not interested in competing. Like that's not why I'm here. I just wanted to do the thing that was assigned to me and like move on. I'm not interested in whatever this game is that you're playing. So like, if it's really that important to you, you can have it. I don't care. Like,
Yes. Same. I also did not participate in those games. I don't. Yes, but to your point, I found more people trying to compete with me, where I was trying to compete with no one.
Yeah, right. Like this isn't a game. I like seriously. I'm just here to get a paycheck. Like I don't care that much. Like it's weird, right? I kind of saw them as weirdos. These people who are like trying to one up me constantly. I'm like, for what? Like, I don't care.
Right. But you'll notice that in conversations too, right? Whenever somebody tells a story, and then you either have someone who continues to ask questions because they're interested, because they're active listening, right, in the story that you're telling, or you have someone that's like, oh, that I feel like their intent is good, that they're working on being relatable, but there always seems to be a one up. Right? Like, oh, I have that plus more.
Oh, so testing your knowledge, not asking questions to be inquisitive, but trying to test your knowledge and like trip you up. Do you mean like they're trying to get you?
That's one way. Yeah. But also like having something like, oh, if you did this, I did that too, plus this. Like they try to solidify that no matter like because they hear your storytelling as somehow another way that you are showing off, and they need to be a part of that conversation about all the stuff that's like good work. And because usually it's because nobody's recognizing them because they're not doing right. So then they feel like they've got to like do that one-up behavior. But but I think that in that description that I just gave, that you're right. There are two different ways that you can approach it. Somebody could be asking questions to probe and get at like, I may not believe you. I'm just going to start asking all these questions to try and trip you up. Right. Yeah. And see if like I can catch you in a lie. So that is definitely, and that's real bad. Like who has time for that? Who has time to play those kind of games? I'm sorry.
Somebody who had time for that. It's crazy. I know. It's nuts. I'm like, you do not have enough to do if you are like trying to pick out like one obscure thing in this system. And you're like, hey, do you know like what's the word, like maximum word count that you can have in this field where it's like 30 pages deep and you need like, you know, I swear to God, Amber, I had a question like that one time and I'm like, good thing I actually knew that. But still, like, what the heck are you doing? Like you went out of your way to try to like come up with some rando thing. What? Do you not have enough work to do? What are you doing over there?
Because no wonder companies think that we're not like working is because I think that some people aren't working and that they are working on passing it off that they are when they're not.
Too busy playing games.
Too busy playing games and not Candy Crush or those kind of games, right? Although they might be. Maybe that's what they're
Maybe.
I never played that, but I know so many people that did.
Me either. So
I don't know why that's the first game that came up. But
and I didn't want to admit that I had no idea what that game is. It's like, oh yeah, I'll just pretend like I know.
But I definitely knew people like, and they'd be on calls and playing Candy Crush, right? Because they're like, I'm working because I'm on this call, but I'm also playing Candy Crush, you know, like on my phone. And I'm like,
so irritating to me.
And now that I am like talking it out loud, like I am talking about it from the perspective of like the mechanisms that I put in place, that gaslighting isn't something that I necessarily deal with so much anymore. But I would say like in my earlier career, it was, and that I did, I'm falling, like, again, to your point, being very careful about how I'm saying this, because it's not necessarily that like, it makes it sound like it's entrapment, and I'm unsure if it's actually meant to be entrapment. I think it's just meant to secure control over the narrative.
Interesting.
And because maybe something changed and they're not very good at communicating when things change. So instead, they'll come across as the authority around, no, you have that wrong, right? Instead of saying, oh, there's been a change in direction, because maybe they misread something. Maybe it's them, and maybe they are actually projecting something that they messed up onto someone else to accept the blame. For what they have done, right?
For sure, that has happened. And that is intentional. And I do consider that to be malicious when you're like, oh, well, you know, so-and-so, you know, I'm going to divert attention over here to save face, right? Like my reputation, whatever it might be. I want so-and-so to take the blame instead. Yeah, absolutely. That's interesting, though, about the other perspective, though. So you don't think like gaslighting in all instances is like malicious, like kind of what you're saying?
But that's just because I like to see, like, I would like to believe that they just are not good communicators.
Poor communicators.
And they're poor communicators. And I think it's a symptom of being a poor communicator that they cannot, they want this status and they want to be in this position, but they can't do all that requires of that particular position. And so, and specifically, I'm referencing the people who just really, really, really want to be managers, supervisors, and leaders, and do not have the skills for it. So when I would find too that in the, like, my earlier kind of like part of my days of like when I'm learning about like what gaslighting feels like, I would say that if I am super, super stressed out and I'm working on something that I'm having to learn at the same time, and it's not something, it's not a skill that I have developed just yet where I can think about it with my eyes closed and kind of like move on.
Sure.
a lot of that was happening, and so I feel like where I was at with my confidence also had an influence and a direct relationship to how I addressed being gaslit.
Yeah.
Right. And so
definitely.
You're hearing about all these tactics and things of how I am now as a result of years of like working through tactics and experience for how to see through, and my confidence in being a good worker, just like I know I'm a good worker. I don't need somebody to tell me I'm a good worker. So when somebody tries to tell me that I'm not, I'm like, cool.
Well,
yeah, right. You can go on.
You've secured a reputation for yourself that you feel comfortable can stand those tests of people like, throwing mud at it. And you're like, hey, like, I know that's going to roll right off because like these people know who I really am. But you're right. Like that takes years to get to that where you feel secure enough to just like, when somebody's like trying to slander you, you just like look like whatever, like that's just noise. I'm not bothered by it anymore. Yeah, right. Like you're just like banging on the door or something. Like nobody's home. I'm not listening. Like
yes. Yeah. Whereas when I would like, and again, I don't even know what a better way to say, but like when I would fall for the gaslighting or even kind of consider it as, did I miss something? Like, and I'd have to like take a step back and like ask myself, like, it was usually when I was still building up that knowledge. Yeah. And so those I think are the really, really prime situations where when they know and they are doing it in a malicious way, that they know that you don't have the full set of knowledge. So you can't really talk back to it. And so it's like, maybe I encountered like gaslighting newbies in my later career and I had experts who taught me, right? Like at the beginning. But that's coming from the perspective of that it is intentional. And I don't always believe that it is. Yeah. And so I would like really to believe. Gracious of you. I know.
Yeah. I think it's like, I don't know. And I guess it depends on the person too. So, again, like most people, we're in a professional setting, meaning like you're not going to have these like overt, really like people causing drama as far as like trying to gaslight individuals. It's usually more subtle. And so, and I feel like to like do this subtle gaslighting, you've got to be somewhat crafty. And I guess like in my mind, I'm thinking you had to think through how that was going to, like, you had to think about that. That wasn't I misspoke. I said a thing, but I really meant this thing. Like that went through your brain and you constructed a way to deliver this message, whatever it might be, to try to gaslight me in some way. And I guess that's why I'm like, less gracious about it. But maybe, again, I could have mine just like colored by my experiences too. It's really hard sometimes to like, think about something and think of it in a different light when you sort of only have negative experiences with it. Yeah, I don't know. Like for you, did you have like stuff, especially early on, where you had to get a reality check with a friend? Like you had to go to somebody that you were close to and say like, is it me? Like, did you have moments like that?
Yeah, for sure. And then I would go through like where I like a turtle, right? I kind of like go back into my shell for a second and try to kind of like ground myself into like, here are the things that I know that are true. Here are the what did I miss? And start having that like internal dialogue of if this is true, this new information is true, this question that's been brought out is true. Well, what did I miss? Like, how did I miss that? Yeah. What did I not get? Right. Or like, who has this information that I could have reached out to? Like, was this really on me or was the right? And so, I go through like the steps of trying on accepting the blame kind of like inside of my little shell. But then most of the time I come out and go, nope. Right. Like doesn't fit.
Yeah, right. It does. Yeah. Oh my God.
Blame doesn't fit. And so then I would start to then do those external inquiries. Like, have you heard this? Did you hear this? Did it like, was this changed for you too? Like, and then start like doing the gentle probing outside of my shell, because then I'd look in the mirror and go, yeah, the blame doesn't fit. This doesn't fit me at all. Like I don't understand how this came my way. I had to go do an internal side quest for no reason. Right. Because it didn't change anything about me continuing to proceed on the course that I am on. And, everybody has probably learned by now that I love my efficiencies. And when people get in the way of my efficiencies,
when you're sidetracked,
quickest way to bring me rage. Right. Like, That is
100%.
like a fast track. Do
Mm-hmm.
not pass go. Do not collect your $200. I'm at rage.
Amber, when you were like, sorry, it made me think when you're like, nope, doesn't fit. It's like, it makes me think, because like, that's the thing where like, it made me think of Planet of the Apes, right? Like somebody's gaslighting you. Like, no, you're on Earth. I'm like, yeah, but you all are like, you're monkeys, you're apes. Like, and then I have to go like, let me get Amber. Amber, are you seeing the monkey? Is it just me? Or are you seeing the monkeys too? Like, I want to make sure everybody's saying I'm on Earth, but it doesn't feel like I'm on Earth. Like, that's how it feels. Like, but you're right. Like it's a total side quest. And I did find later, I didn't even play with the side quests. I was just like, well, whatever you say. Like, I just kind of just didn't care, because I knew if anybody else cared to know the facts, they would come to me, because I had that reputation for being trustworthy, the person that you could go to with, like you said, like I know my work, and I know some of like why we made the decisions we made, what led to that, all the conversations we've had. I could tell you that verbatim, like exactly how we got there, and people knew that, so I was more secure in that. But in the beginning, I'm like, wait, is it just me, or are you guys seeing monkeys too? I gotta make sure. It really felt like that. Yeah.
Oh, but that's a really interesting point, because that also brings up like this topic about perception. So it is also how we read certain scenarios, which is where I feel like there's a nicely tread path of it not being intentional.
Yeah.
If somebody actually truly believes something that is not validated by anybody else, and they just really like it really makes me think of that huge internet debate about what color the dress was, right?
Oh my God, I remember that. Yes.
Right? And so like everybody is right.
It all has
to do with
your perception. Yeah.
Your perception and your
interesting.
And so I wonder if in some of these situations that it is not malicious, right? Because I do believe that it is in a lot, but the ones that are not, that it is just the perception. Like this is how they read the scene. And so instead of asking a question,
they're defensive.
They're defensive.
And who knows why
I think, yes.
Who knows why they're defensive too? There's a whole story that's probably led to them being like that too. So yeah, Amber, you always do this. You always like shine a light on stuff, and you're like, hey, but wait a minute. And I'm like, Amber, like, I wanted to be over here and be salty about it.
And you can. I don't want to take your salty away.
No, you're right.
But I just want to add, I want to make some kettle corn and just add a little bit of sweet to this, you know?
And that is absolutely fair. That's absolutely fair. Because then we get to these other things. Yeah. When we're digging in.
When we're digging in. And so like, and that person, if they are gaslighting, they are not people that you're going to be able to have this conversation with.
Some people, you know, who you're like, no, I know what you're up to. And then you're right. Other people you're like, well, we've not had this before, so let's figure it out. Yeah.
Right.
That's fair.
Like, exactly.
You know, but so this is, okay. It might be a little early to get to story time, but I'm actually, because you're kind of like, you know, trying to shine a light and see if there might be something else going on. I'm curious if you can see if there might be something else going on with this story that we got. Story time.
Yes, story time.
So listener submitted story here. And another one, I love it. They're all so relatable. Oh my God, I swear, like these stories are like us, Amber. It's weird. Anyway, all right. I was really excited about this new job. I love the team, and it was exactly the kind of work that I knew I was good at. So when I started getting assignments, I really dug in. It was challenging, but in a good way, and I was proud of what I was producing. Then I turned in my very first major assignment, and my manager said that it wasn't what we wanted. I was confused. I had taken notes, and I followed the requirements, so I knew I had everything in there. Before I could respond, though, my manager said, "Don't worry about it. I'll take care of it." That really threw me off, but I let it go. The next assignment, I tried to be proactive, and I checked in halfway through. I walked through my approach, and I got some really positive feedback. So this time I felt confident, and I was looking forward to sharing the final product. But when I got the same response that this wasn't what they envisioned, I wasn't going to let it go. And when I asked what the vision was, I got a really vague answer about private conversations with upper management that I wasn't a part of. So expectations that were never even shared with me. Again, my manager said that they would take care of it, but I didn't want them to take care of it. I wanted to do my job. I wanted to understand what was expected of me, and I wanted to be trusted. But instead, I was now second guessing every decision I made. Every note I took, it felt like I probably missed something. My confidence was shot, and I kept wondering, why did they even hire me? I feel really bad. But like, Amber, this makes me think of like kind of like what you're saying, where it's a new job, right? So said this, I was excited about this new job. So maybe there was like a true like miscommunication or misunderstanding here. I don't know though. Like, what's like first takes for you? Like, I'm curious what your thoughts are. Like, I'm trying to be like maybe overly generous here because like we just had a conversation about this.
Yeah, first takes is that the whole thing exudes so much sadness. So I'm like I know, right? So I think I'm like processing the sadness and the sadness perspective, right? Like that there's the sadness is like dripping off of this where the person's experience made them feel sad because they took away that they weren't able to fully do their job. And they wanted to be a contributing member of a team that they were brand new to, and being shut out in a way that was kind of like, you don't have a place here yet. And it was kind of the messaging in what they were receiving, like, well, I'll just do it and I'll just write, and then somehow there's I know we had an episode about gatekeeping. So I feel like that this would be like an example also of which the story of gatekeeping also has a lot of ties to gaslighting. I wonder how closely related gatekeeping and gaslighting are to each other then. Right? Because it seems that there's I also kind of heard this element that the manager was, if they are having conversations with upper management, right? It was called upper management, in this scenario, and then not sharing that with the person who was assigned
doing
the
work.
task and doing the work, then that feels like a little bit of gatekeeping. So there's something there in terms of why being shut out. That being a new employee, right? There feels like there's a whole lot to unpack. Where I maybe am not seeing it so clearly, because I feel like I'm getting kind of like stuck in like the motivations and the gatekeeping, is where's the gaslighting?
Yeah. So, again, just like my initial reaction, and this is before we even had this conversation about being seeing things in a different light, honestly. So now I'm sort of seeing it in another way. But initial impressions from this story for first read was, I got this job. I was told I was great. I'm a perfect fit. I got the job. I'm here. I'm doing this thing. And then to say, well, you're not quite getting it. You're not getting it. We've given you a couple assignments. You're still not getting it. I'll just do it. It feels very, I can see how that erodes your confidence. The excitement of like being on a job, doing something that you love, that's so rare to get to do something that you want to be doing. It's so rare. And so to be so excited and feel like, hey, I'm going to be able to use my talents here. But then somebody saying, you're still not getting it. What am I missing? Why aren't you telling me what I'm missing? So it does kind of feel like the gatekeeping. What aren't you telling me? And also you told me I was a perfect fit. I got the job, yet I'm not getting it too. It's a whole host of things. It's kind of like a sprinkling of many different things that we've already covered in past episodes. So yeah, it's kind of like a Mod Podge of everything. Actually, it feels like a big scrapbook here of all the stuff we've covered already.
Right? It kind of does. And now but I better understand in that kind of like summary where gaslighting like had its place. It's because this employee knows what they're good at and right? And so then being told that you're not doing the thing is like, wait a second.
You're not meeting the mark. What?
You're not meeting the mark, right? Like, and it's like, wait, but I am, and I am with the information that I have. So if there's more, then that feels that's a gatekeeping, right? Like you're being kind of kept out of stuff. I don't know if this if you see this as well, but in those experiences that you had, like, I know we talked about kind of like our process about like trying it on, whether this fits or not. But in that process, did you ever spend time like needing to defend yourself? Like, did you in the beginning? Yeah, in the beginning. Okay, right.
Not
because
towards
it does
the end,
seem
that was not worth my time by the end. Because one, like I knew like the truth, and if anybody cared to know, they could come to me. But I wasn't going to waste my time, waste my breath. But you're right. In the beginning, I felt like I had to defend myself, defend my reputation, defend. My, in the case of something like defend having this job, like you gave me a job, like I feel like I need to defend the reason I'm here, like stuff like that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, because I brought that up because I feel like I hear a little element of that in this
Yeah,
story
for
as
sure.
well.
Now,
Like there's a defensiveness around kind
hmm
of like where this person feels like what the hell? What the hell is going on, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yes.
like
It feels like an
I
alternate reality a little bit. Like, why did you
correct.
bring me here if you didn't want me to do anything? Like, but also, like,
Right.
seriously, Amber, it's so hard. Like, how many managers have you ever had? They're just like, don't worry, I'll just do the work. What? Why would you do that? Was like a little startling too, because like
Yeah.
managers have jobs, like not
Yeah.
just like being managers, but they have like work that's actually assigned to them too, that they're like doing. So to say like, oh, I'm just going to do my employees' work too. What are you doing? Like, that's a little strange to me too. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Oh, I've had
oh, really? Like
several
two
managers who would like do the work
micromanagers and stuff. Gotta
while
get
they're
into
also
that.
managing. Yeah. I would like to believe that the manager missed the opportunity here. Like, but
Mm-hmm.
didn't, but it wasn't intentional.
Yeah.
Like I don't see it as harm. I don't see it as
Malicious.
manipulative,
Yeah. Like
malicious,
what
right?
we
Like,
talked about. Yeah.
yeah, I don't see this as, I see this as two colliding forces,
Mm-hmm.
right? And a difference of perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And in the storytellers, which that's the only side we have, right?
Yes,
Is the
that's
storyteller
true.
side. So we only have the storyteller side, and the storyteller side is filled with defensiveness and sadness. And
Mm-hmm.
so about like, I've already, like, I'm good at what I do. Give me the things
Yeah.
to do that I can get better. I accept this challenge around like, okay, so I didn't do it. Teach me. What is
Mm-hmm.
it that I missed? Right? Like
Mm-hmm.
this could have been a beautiful coaching moment, right? You know, just in terms from
Yeah.
that development perspective
Yeah.
of like, what did I miss? Like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you know from the conversation that I don't, or that maybe that I need to know?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't tell me that, then what is a way that we can meet in the middle? How
Mm-hmm.
can I help still provide these things? Like, if there's something that I am not allowed to know for privacy's sake or whatever, right? You know, whatever the
Yeah.
situation might be, there could be some validity to that, but then it's
Mm-hmm.
about like working together. But if you just
Mm-hmm.
kind of like expect teams to just click immediately, like, and just
Mm-hmm.
go snap, you're the piece that we're missing, like
Mm-hmm.
it can feel that you're the piece that's missing from interviews and go, yes, this is the perfect place for me to be.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you actually get there and you're like, why is my piece not fitting, right? You know, like whenever I'm
Yeah.
doing puzzles and I'm like, this is the one, right?
Yeah.
And I get in there and it's like, it looks like it has the shape. And then I
Yeah.
go to put it in and it like, it's off by just like, and I'm like, why? Or like the
Yeah.
little like rounded end is
Yeah.
just a
Oh,
little too small. And then you can see
yeah.
like a gap in between. I'm like, oh, so I thought you were the piece that fit, but you're not
Yeah.
actually the piece that fits. And
Yeah.
so like, there's all of these like this feels like if they're new, I'm sure
Mm-hmm.
there's that like I'm new here, like kind of energy and
Yeah, for
feelings and
sure.
emotions and like I just like I want my experience to match my excitement for being here. Like I am
Yeah,
so excited
exactly.
for this. And so I feel like that's where the sadness really kind of comes in, is that there is
Mm-hmm.
a mismatch in that experience of like, I am so excited to be here. And now why is my excitement being stomped on?
Mm-hmm. I'm curious then, like,
Coaching moment? You want
yeah,
a coaching
I
moment?
do,
Yeah.
because I'm kind of curious, like the angle you're going to take, because we've kind of like taught, like this is definitely a more subtle thing here. Like this is a
Yes.
subtle example. We've
Yes.
talked about some of those more overt things earlier, so I'm interested in kind of like how you're like you would approach something like this.
So I'm actually really curious about the energy space in this one, right? So it is, where are you placing the energy? So in this story, right, I'm hearing a sense that there's a placement of defensiveness and a placement of sadness and trying to kind of like manage their grief. And
Yeah.
so if this individual, right, like if this was something that I was coming through, it's like, where have you been putting energy trying to figure someone out, or get someone to understand you? Because there's also that token. Some people will spend the work trying to understand another person. And so if you're putting that energy and trying to figure out how you got to that scenario and trying to get either to understand someone or someone to understand you, what if the real work in this is deciding what you're going to do regardless of whatever it is that they're doing?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, so how do you see that for like the example here where this isn't a peer to peer, this is a peer and a boss. And it's more of like like you gave me an assignment. I'm trying to understand the assignment, but you're telling me I'm not getting it. Do I stop trying to understand and I just do like what I think it, like my vision for it? Like, how would you work through that? Because that's what I'm hearing, but I don't know that that's necessarily what you mean.
Oh, but it could be, right?
Really?
So yeah, because in this coaching like scenario, it's if somebody had brought this kind of like sadness and grief to me in a session, right? It'd be kind of like working through that sadness and grief. But then kind of like ultimately there needs to be a decision that the individual needs to make for themselves and what that decision is. And so if they know that being a good worker equals these things, then let's enumerate that. What does being a good worker, or what is at jeopardy? What is at risk here for you, right? What is happening in a way? And what if that behavior doesn't stop? So the action that this person could choose to take is, oh, I'm going to have a conversation, right? And I am trying to come up with what I'm going to do without actually looping in that other individual. I'm doing the same thing that they're doing to me. I'm making decisions without their involvement, right? And they may come to realize that they actually need to include that other individual and model the behavior that they want them to do without telling them that, right? Like, and so it could have taken that, like, they may have to take what feels like a giant, big, brave step forward for them to go, I really need to have a conversation with you. This was what I expected. This is what I came on board. I'm really, really excited to be here. But this situation is really squashing my excitement because of this action that is taking. There may be more that's going on, but it feels really easy for me to take that action and completely like blame you. And so if there's something else going on, right? Like, and I don't want to feel that, like, I either don't want to feel that way about you. I don't want to feel that way about myself. There's some really awful things that are happening with me internally. I'm second guessing like my work. So it could be that person chooses to start by having a difficult conversation and being vulnerable, sharing with that individual what is going on. And then it's up to that individual to take that information and then that is where you start to get more information. You either will start to be more included because it was really not on purpose, maybe there was a time crunch, maybe there was like who knows whatever the scenario might be, but in order to address it, that individual solution maybe like and honestly that is the solution. If there's like a right or wrong, it's to kind of address it, like address the things that you want. It's to say the things that you need. And so, but if this person's like, I'm not brave enough to do that. Right. But then they're going to have to then work with, okay, so if you're not going to have the conversation, well, then what are your next steps? Because if this is not addressed, this has a potential probability of continuing to occur.
Oh, this will be the pattern going forward. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
So then how will you then what will you need to do? Because if you, right? So that's where if you are trying so hard, like I know we've talked about this on another episode around boundaries.
Yeah.
And like where you think that you've done something and you expect someone to read the like invisible line that you've drawn. In this scenario, this needs to be made clear what hurt.
Yeah.
What did not happen to expectation? Because if they are very clearly coming back and saying that, hey, you didn't do the thing that was needed, well, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to tell you the same thing. Right? Like there's a comfortability with you coming and telling me, yes, maybe because you're a manager, but I also have that same ability to tell you where you're not meeting expectations for me.
Yeah.
Like that's perfectly fine that I didn't meet expectations. But where it got missed for me was that you just dropped that. And then your next line was, I'm just going to do it. So then you shut me out. You told me I didn't do what was expected. I didn't know what was expected. I just did the thing that I am good at. Right. And then I was shut out. So that's a conversation right there of like that space in between could have used a little bit more information. Like that's fine that you did it on your own because again, maybe that was a time crunch. Is this something I can expect to continue to occur? Because if so, then I need to work around that, right? You know, like, and so go on a fact-finding mission. Find the facts around it, because there just seemed to be a lot of hurt. And then what do we do when we're hurt? We're not going to like post our hurt out on a bulletin board to go, I'm hurt. Although some people do that, but the constructive way of that, right, is to then have a conversation and say, that did not go very well. Can we talk about that?
No kidding. I know. And the HR person in me just wants to be like, clarify expectations, like, actually be able to communicate those clearly and ensure understanding, not just, hey, here's the thing, but it's like one of those things like you hand it off, but then you always do the confirmation, like, does this make sense? Like, let's have a conversation about it to confirm understanding. I know it can get hectic in workplace settings where it's just like you feel like time crunches, like you said, where it just feels like you've done a thing and you're moving on to the next thing because it's really fast paced, whatever. But I think that extra little time is really important. And like you said, if it's important enough to you that it's like, you're hurt like this and you're carrying that hurt, it's worth that conversation. It's worth that little bit of like, maybe feeling uncomfortable for a few minutes to have like a conversation to clear the air and have a better working relationship going forward. It's worth that little bit of awkwardness, Yeah.
Correct. There needs to be a lot of directness. So I think that this question gets more to the, I don't want to do the hard work, right? Like it's already hard feeling hurt. And I don't want to do the extra hard work of telling somebody that I'm hurt and that they're the reason I'm hurt.
Yeah.
Like that's really hard. I don't want to discount that. There's a reason why we don't have these conversations.
Right.
It's because they suck.
They do. Like
they suck,
you have to be so brave. Like so brave. Yeah.
And then go puke afterwards, right?
Yes,
because you just
take a nap. Like, right.
Or
like
take a nap.
I go into like a coma. I just like, I don't want to, I can't do anything else for the rest of the day.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So, I mean, I don't want to just be like, hey, this is, a possibility. Like you've got to do whatever's within your comfort level. And you know that, right? But I'm usually, unless the person like is aware that in a very, very clear way, this event is the thing that happened. This is how I interpreted that. This is how I'm now feeling as a result of that. Is that true? A response to something like that could also be like, hey, maybe they didn't know that what they had done was hurtful because they are so overwhelmed with all this stuff. And I'm just going to let them know. That sucked. Because
now that you're saying it, I could see where like the manager, when they're like, don't worry, I'll take care of it. Maybe they thought like, hey, I know you put a lot of work into this. It's not your fault that, maybe something changed or whatever. I missed telling you. So I'll just fix it. Like maybe they thought
they're accepting responsibility.
Yeah, maybe they thought that they were like doing like the right thing in their eyes. Like they were making it right because it was on them. Like, I don't know. Like now you got me thinking all sorts of different things here now, Amber. I'm seeing different perspectives here.
I love how I can like stick my fingers in your brain and massage
it's like
it.
you're
in
doing
a way
this like
where...
Jedi mind like warping thing going on here. Yes.
I also love your gruesome reaction to the grossness, right, of my visuals.
But I
was giving you a massage. It was self-care. It was meant as self-care.
Man, that's like the talk of self-care last episode was just like, that was a great way to end the episode.
Dreamy, right?
Yes, so nice.
And nobody has given us any other ideas. So again, the challenge is still out there for people to give us some ideas about self-care. And what do you do to unwind that is luxurious? And, are you eating bonbons on, a poolside, I don't know. That doesn't sound fun to me because I'm just going to hide from the sun. But, what other luxurious activities?
I know. Yeah.
Fresh sheets. I get really excited when it's fresh sheets day.
Okay. But isn't it like extra great whenever it's fresh sheets and hot out of the dryer and you can go in and like wrap up in like a big hot cocoon? Isn't that like the best?
Because I don't like heat. And so like for me, if they could come out cold, Yes. So take that
Weird.
scenario and make them like ice cold sheets. And then I'm just going to wrap myself up into that like nice, cool cocoon. That sounds amazing. Like, but that's very sensory, right? Like,
Yeah,
and I think that a lot of my self-care has to do with sensory stuff. And I
true.
like the, right, the feeling of just, nice and like ASMR, but not mouth noises. I don't like mouth noise ASMR. But I like clickety clack.
The nail stuff. I like that.
I had to cut my nails down because it's garden season. So I am down to, I had to get rid of my,
your points.
I'll get you my points are no longer, they're
little short nails.
Little short
I like
nails
that color
now.
though.
But yes, the self-care items would be nice to have. So like what other sensory and or non-sensory items like to just bring you absolute joy that you're just like, yes, this is, maybe it's a snack, right? Maybe it's an experience. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's just sitting in silence and you're just like, this is divine.
Sometimes that is really nice. I am someone who enjoys that.
Right?
Yes.
Or maybe you're into the violence and you go and work out, or you play video games where you shoot things. And so there's a balance to it all. And maybe your relaxation is going to look a little bit different, which was our point today, is that's our point almost every time, is that we don't always know the whole story. We love to take the stories and then try to like crack them wide open and see what else might be there and exploring. And so we are Sanity Pending Podcast, and that is what we do. And today we talked a lot about our gaslighting experiences. You can find us on our Reddit channel, where we are also asking additional questions at the end of each of our episodes. So we launch a new episode every Wednesday. And so then you can find us in what we call the break room. And so usually at around 10 a.m., right before lunch, around lunch, we'll post our first question. And then a little bit later in the afternoon, as you're kind of getting off of work, then we'll post another one to kind of carry you into the evening. So we're doing polls. We're asking you to post memes. So join us on our subreddit channel, because that's where we are honestly the most active. But we also have an Instagram, and then obviously on YouTube, because that's where you're finding us here. And then we're posting our little TikToks. And so we are doing engagement as much as we can. So yeah, share this with your friends so they can also subscribe to being a part of this wonderful community that we are trying to build, which is to take these really traumatic workplace stories and events that are going on and getting down to who you want to be, and who you are, like discovering who you are in those moments, but then getting down to who you where it is that you want to be. And this was a tough one. So join us in just lamenting on how tough that this subject can be, and how hard it is to be the one whose sanity is pending.
No kidding.
Just know we're still all just hovering on that line. But remember, if you've not throat punched somebody this week, it's been a great week. And later.